Welcome to TrueHouse episode 449. Just get Instagram going as well. Hold on. We're live. That's my steady face. We are live. Okay. All right. Good evening, Instagram. Good evening, YouTube. I'm Justin House. This is episode 449. Job versus title. Hope you're all okay. I've been gone for a couple of days. I hope my voice doesn't give out. Apologies for last night, by the way, Monday. We are Tuesday the 14th. Yeah, proof that I'd written with every intention of going live last night. Job satisfaction, the actual jobs that we do versus the title that we might aspire to. I was actually prompted to do this episode by watching House MD, one of our successful UK exports, Hugh Laurie, mastered the American accent so much so that a lot of Americans thought that our British Hugh Laurie, from obviously Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie, sort of Cambridge, Oxford, the sort of friends that they were, that whole 80s group. Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie, obviously Laurie and Fry, or Fry and Laurie, that they're a great sort of duo in the 80s and 90s, and to see Hugh Laurie successfully be a UK export and then to master the American accent, I am really late with watching House Medical Doctor MD. It's the nearest thing I've found to CSI Vegas. I lament CSI Vegas, the original one with Will Peterson, of course, playing Grisham. So I've always looked for, I miss those days of the criminal the investigative part of these episodes with CSI. And I've always wanted it to come back. I know there's a new series now, but it's a little bit woke. And the House series, I think, is 8 series long, so he had a good long stint, 8 years there, eight seasons if you like. I think it ran from 04 to 012, I think. I'd have to fact check that, but I'm halfway through, and it's like 23, 24 episodes per season. It's really good, a lot of fun, and he pulls it off with aplomb. He's he's a very convincing American. The fact that he's couldn't be more British is not lost on me. It's quite funny, and that's really what prompted me to do this stream. There was one of the episodes, and like I say, I'm like on the 4th season now. I've been binging on it the last few days, apart from yesterday, of course, when I had an internet crash. I lost all the internet yesterday, hence no stream. So apologies for that, guys. But there's a section in there. It's in the 4th season where Dr. House, of course, I like the name because he's called House. Something else which I quite, I dine out on that. I'm like, oh yeah, he's called House, man. But long story short, he goes through a recruiting process of interviewing and testing and training, very much in the style of The Right Stuff, new doctors, prospective new doctor, these new prospects. And, obviously you've got to factor in that it is a US drama, probably in the same vein that what was really popular that George Clooney was on. What was it? Was it ER or something? When you see these American dramas, and in the style of, certainly sort of in terms of how filmic it is, it reminded me of ER or Friends, or and again, I'm what, 8-9 years late to this. I wasn't not aware, but I'm just late to the party. So I've been enjoying on Amazon Prime these, I've got 8 years to catch up on House MD, and it's just like one of those, for me, because it's like, yeah, he's English, he's a Brit, and so many, my American friends thought he was American. It's very hard for a Brit to do a passable American accent. I know my American buddies try and do an English accent, and they either go, they've been watching Guy Ritchie movies, so that they try and go for like a Essex/Cockney hybrid and get all gore blimey, and try and do or a Brad Pitt gypsy and try and do all Jason Statham, or they go for the plum in the mouth, don't you know, RP, received pronunciation, Queenie, don't you know. So they either do this highfalutin posh English, or gangster South London English. They either do that in the same way that us idiotic English would perhaps try a Californian twang, or some, I don't know, Bronx, Manhattan, or a Boston drawl, or a I can't think really. But I mean, it's cringeworthy when you see a poorly done American accent by a Brit, or an equally poorly done UK accent done by an American. Both are like, oh no, don't do it. So to see Hugh Laurie pull off an extremely convincing American accent is cool. It's kind of cool. And I think just when I was doing acting, I think the main thing is to not hold back. So anyway, that was my motivation behind mentioning it tonight, for the simple reason that there was for me, a very impactful scene where an elderly student went for the role of being on Dr. Gregory House's team. And also, it's a fictional drama. It's a fictional character, and the whole premise was a mature student, a mature doctor, having a go at being a doctor, and he actually hadn't gone to medical school, but had more real world applied knowledge. Oh, good evening, someone's there. Of knowing, certainly anatomically speaking, and not that he's an endocrinologist or eminent Greece anatomist, just some revered, like, it's just the fact that he had a go. And there was this one scene which struck a chord with me, because when Hugh Laurie's character House finds out that he's not a doctor, he says, this is your dream job. And the guy goes, it's not the job I wanted. And in other words, he'd been found out. And he said, no, it's not the job you wanted. It is the job you wanted. It's not the title you wanted. And I just thought, oh, what a great talking point, because so many of us aspire to a title. And that's what really lit a fire in my head to mention this tonight, because there are 3 or 4 other things I'd like to talk about. But I was just compelled to mention this tonight, that so many of us through life look at the prestige of a title, the necessary owning of again, in society, saying, oh, what are you doing? Well, you could be a road sweeper, you could be a refuse garbage, a bin man, whatever. And these titles don't carry prestige. They don't carry this social clout. Whereas if you say, oh, I'm a solicitor, lawyer, doctor, some sort of high level title, these jobs carry a certain prestige, a certain one of those. It's like, oh, really? You're a doctor. Oh, you're a lawyer. Oh, gosh, wow, you are important. And it begs the question, how important is that, and how satisfied or how satisfying would a job be, the job satisfaction, the doing of the job, literally on a daily basis? How much do you love your work, versus how important is the title to you? So that's why I wanted to mention that tonight. Certainly in my 27 years when I was teaching, my teaching career was 1990 till 2017. I wasn't a school teacher. I was a teacher in the corporate, not the sort of. I was in dividing my time for the 27 years I taught between the corporate sector and what I would call the hardcore bodybuilding sector. So my time was divided between teaching the shiny chrome fitness industry and teaching the hardcore stuff and being very involved in very deeply entrenched in both. So I ended up teaching the teachers and just being director of personal training. But yeah, it was a long personal training career. My point being, I probably got less satisfaction when I became director of personal training versus just a good PT teaching 10 people a day, 5 in the morning, 5 in the evening, 72 clients a week. Those were my positions I filled for certainly 12 of those years. A dozen years were spent being exceedingly busy and having 2 to 4 week waiting lists. And that was looking back, it was such a privileged time to essentially as a personal trainer to be able to say, book at reception, I'm full up for the next fortnight. I'm sorry, I can't see you for 20 days. What a privilege to be in. I ran that. Certainly, my first decade was super busy, super busy. 90, 91 through till 2000, 2001. That first 10-year spell was frankly glorious. It was really got a huge amount of satisfaction from teaching the public. Your typical, obese, overweight, diabetic to someone that had come back from surgery or pregnancy, or that person that's a tennis slash golf slash footballer that's got a knee injury. This person trained to get in the army. This person trained to get in the police force. This person going for what we have here in the UK, SBS, SAS, so Special Air Service or Special Boat Service. We have a training ground here, very local to where I live, that's the centre for the Special Boat Service. The SBS and the SAS are up at Hereford. But the point being, it was a privilege and an honour to, whether it's just bleep tests, I'd have to train people just on their bleep tests or their frog jumps or their static jumps, or they're just how high can they jump, and using people's body weight and just getting them ready for tests as they went into some of those disciplined areas of either law enforcement and or army. So that was really enjoyable. And then of course I went into the hardcore bodybuilding thing, taught people, what I call the meat and potatoes, the multi-joint, compound fundamental movements of bodybuilding. Here's a deadlift, obviously, just going through the primary sort of three, you squat, bench, dead, squat, bench, dead, squat, bench, dead, your Olympic lifts, and clean and jerk and press and snatch and everything. It's all good fun. And then the intricacies of prepping for a bodybuilding show, 16-week prep, that sort of thing. So I had a huge sort of chunk, if for want of a better word, many years of job satisfaction. And only when I pushed my personal training title to I'm now in charge of all these clubs, and we had 165 clubs for the company I worked for. We grew very rapidly in the 90s, and by 2000/2001 I had bought myself a plane ticket to the Mecca, Venice Beach, because to my mind that was the place I had to go, and I did for 3 years. Moved out to Santa Monica, California, and got on with it. Made sure I got, was earning dollars within 48 hours of landing at LAX, and I was. Blagged it with no visa, but that's what you do. And things were different then. It's pre 9/11. I remember being there. Obviously 9/11 changed everything, but I was living on Santa Monica and 15th at the time when 9/11 happened. And anyway, the point, I'm getting off the beaten track now, but the point being, I now look at certainly where we are, and the weight of expectation and people's own talking points. I'm this or that, and it just made me think, watching this episode of House, how much happier so many of us are when we're really involved in a job, in our daily work, in our daily life, whatever you're doing, man, whatever you're doing, okay? Look at people that help others, look at physios or people that help pregnant women or spine injuries, or, there's a myriad of different. I literally, there's so many in my head now that I'm struggling to name, half dozen, occupations where you could say, oh, this person does this. But there's people I met, for example, the first 14 months after my spine cancer, obviously I couldn't walk. I was on my back for 14 months. I think it was literally month 14 where I managed to stand for the first time, obviously on crutches, on a frame. And to this day, I've got no feeling below the waist. My lower body is very weak. But that's what a spine tumour does, but there were people there that helped me get upright again, and 14 months was a decent amount of time to be on your back, and I really mean on your back. Psychologically very hard, very hard. So I just thought, recently watching all the episodes of House, it just brought back a few things. But if I can take a little side step off this topic, just to mention, because it's on my mind, what a weekend seeing Juliana Pena defeat Amanda Nunes in UFC 269. I was amazed. I was emotional. I cried. Happily say that. What an attractive woman. What the unstoppable. Look, every champion, any and all champions must either literally get beaten on their feet, or call it a day. There's a degree of inevitability. There's something that's in the post when you see a champion, somebody at the top of their game. Pick your poison. It doesn't matter. You don't need to explain that. You could be whatever: swimmer, golfer, any physical endeavor, any physical elite level pursuit that requires you to be winning all the time. And it's true, isn't it, of any champion, boxing, like just, I don't know, people spoke about Tyson or Muhammad Ali or, Conor McGregor. I'm not, Mayweather. I'm not making any comparisons. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying, there's people speculate, and pundits, and people take bets, and there's so many, I can't think of the right words. There's so many, it's not really the right word, but there's a lot of factors involved in staying on top. And I just think that to see what's the word? And I was going to say underling, an underdog. People didn't. Is the safe bet was to say, oh yeah, Nunes has got this because it's Amanda Nunes, and Amanda Nunes will and would knock out. Just yeah. It's like you're a bloke, you're going to get knocked out. There is that element with Amanda Nunes. It's like it doesn't matter if you're a bloke my size or whatever. If you're going to get hit on the chin as hard as that woman hits, yeah, you're going to get rocked and knocked out. I just think that's a realistic assessment of Amanda Nunes's punching power. You've only got to watch, a few of her fights to realise that she will stand toe to toe in the pocket and trade and just blast away until somebody doesn't stand up anymore. There is that. And to see Juliana Pena just left jab, 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 it was an amazing sight to behold. And the commentary of DC, Daniel Cormier and Joe Rogan spoke volumes. They were shrieking from the side of the octagon, as they often do. You could hear the exasperation, the exasperated voices of Rogan and Cormier. It's like, jab, 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 oh my God. That sort of high-pitched squeal that they break into because you literally can't believe. And I stayed up all night and like a goon just watched it on YouTube and had a complete moment. I thought, wow, this is a very... they're both mothers, right? They're both mums. That's something, isn't it? That there's this thing about once a fighter has a child, they go soft. You know, I know we have seen that. To be fair, I'm not saying don't have kids, but there is a thing. There's an unspoken thing that once and there is an argument for and against. Some champions will say, whether it's UFC or boxing, they'll say, look, once I had a kid, I became less selfish. I started to think more about someone else rather than just my own selfish needs. I'm now fighting for this little person, etc., etc. So I can see so many pros for just being that fighter, that solitary fighter. It's like, that's it. I'm going to just be on a journey, man, and yeah, there is that. So that being said, to see Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena both have kids, you're like, okay, well, they're both mums then, they're fine. And then in the interview, certainly in the preceding interviews with Michael Bisping, who I quite like, a ex-British champion of ours, they're interviewing both women, obviously separately. And I found that psychologically very interesting, just to see how much of the conversation was on, you're a kid, you've got a kid. And Amanda Nunes was positively glowing. She was saying how much she loves her kid and wants another one. And I just had a bit of a flash thinking, what's going on? Is this the lunatic we've come to love and respect? I know it's perhaps a negative take, because you've got to celebrate the fact that she's a mother. And I think I'm right in saying Amanda Nunes is a lesbian. Not that that's got anything to do with it, but it means she would have conceived. I don't know how. Well, I guess I do know. I would imagine they have a donor, right? I'd imagine that women who are together who want to have a baby choose donor sperm. I would imagine. I don't know. I've not looked into it, but certainly basic biology. Woman 50-50, two to tango. You're going to need a literal sperm donor. So I guess that's how they did it. So that being said, it doesn't matter how each woman, Pena versus Nunes, arrived at the point of having a child. Suffice to say that they both did. Yeah, it's a funny one, man. It's a funny one. But the point being, on the night, Juliana Pena just got in there and just literally just kept doing that with the left. And I was like, oh my God, it worked. It worked. So there was that. The big fight of the night, if you can get bigger than that, was of course Dustin Poirier versus Charles Oliveira. I thought any man's game here, but it's it's unlucky on Dustin. Well, it's not. It isn't. It isn't. You can take a view with Dustin. I like the guy. I like him a lot. I think he's done very, very well in the last 5 years. What was it? When did he suffer the defeat at the hands of Conor McGregor? Was it 2016 or something? I don't know. But to lick his wounds, come back, and to just be better and stronger than he ever was. So I've got a ton of respect for Justin Poirier, God, my hand's itching like a good. So my skin's playing up at the moment. What else is it? So there was basically the loss. Dustin Poirier didn't win, but it was looking very much like he was in the first round. I've only seen YouTube clips, not seen the whole thing. But Poirier is through, and I believe he'll probably fight someone like Justin Gaethje next. We'll see. So there's that. 269, wrapping it up. 270, obviously, the new year. What else? Justin? Think, mate. Jobs. Yeah, mention the job thing. Oh, lastly, and I'm going to go because I don't. I just want to try and keep these relatively short, 30-40 minutes now. I guess the overarching point tonight I'm trying to get across is, again, it's always with me, isn't it? These conversations, these sort of me sitting in front of the camera, ranting and waffling away. There you go. I'm fluffing my W's and R's. Waffling away in my typical ranting fashion is to say, look, at ourselves, look at yourself, and look at ourselves. Are we? Trying to think. Are we hurtling towards this nodding dog, obedient thing, which I'm always ranting on about? That I find it, I'm watching it now off screen. I've got my iPad here and I'm watching this recent podcast with Peter McCullough, the doctor that's come forward on Rogan's show. This is not the sort of conversation you'd ever see on YouTube. Rest assured, it's like, I'm watching it. Susan Wojcicki's Wicked Minions at YouTube will not and would not. They wouldn't allow this. It's amazing. Look, the guy is Dr. Peter McCullough, spelled M, capital M, little c, big C, Ullough. Peter McCullough. He is the most peer reviewed. I know they put a lot of in the medical community, put a lot of emphasis on how peer reviewed are you, how well known are you, because what the press, the social, the mainstream legacy smear like to do is to pick apart any sort of guest on Rogan or any show that's similar, and just say, so I'm just trying to not get distracted by looking at pictures. It's become a shooting match. It's become a dick waving competition from the respective sides. Air quotes the right, air quotes the left, where such is the level of contempt, such is the level of just disgust, really. You think contempt and disgust. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to convey this terrible point about these two battling sides. Look, this is something that I speak about most of the time. Not all the time, but probably 60 to 70% of the time I'm mentioning this. And the dilemma is you've got really now, it's fair to say, two opposing realities. I don't think it's a push. I don't think I could be accused of being inflammatory or Justin's embellishing the truth and really sort of over egging it. Not at all. I think now you've only got to watch the likes of the Dr. Fauci, or if you're here in the UK, our own people. And I just I get okay. So Dr. Sanjay Gupta, okay, there you go, CNN's go-to doctor. Not only was he on Rogan's show a month or two ago, probably 6 weeks ago, I don't know, espousing one narrative and one line only for COVID, that it's the CNN official line, yeah? Let's face it, he is CNN's doctor. This is the same Sanjay Gupta that then went on to talk about propagandistic, real propaganda. Went on to Sesame Street and espoused the benefits of the vaccine for children. This I find just abhorrent. I mean, look. You see, the reason why you could prop up a lie is because you could, on the one hand, you can have the narrative forced upon people by mainstream news, MSNBC, CNN, our own BBC here, hey, let's believe Jussie Smollett got mugged, which of course he didn't. This is a collection of people. For example, I know it's a bit off topic, but it's still related to the mindset that Black Lives Matter still believe, and they still have come out in defense of, just the whole, peaceful peaceful protest, peaceful gathering. Meanwhile, stoving in and setting fire to people's livelihoods, shops, property, cars, homes, beating people to a pulp if you're Black Lives Matter, Antifa, but a mostly peaceful protest, and the lies perpetuated by the media. Meanwhile, background, things on fire, people get, it's not hard to see the truth. So when you see this doctor, the reason I mention that, and I paint that background, is because whether it's again, I'm very much talking about American TV, American politics, American chat shows, American podcasts, American news networks, because the diet that I have watching YouTube is invariably just scrolling down my Goog feed. It's different podcasts and different shows with a heavy lean towards the American stuff. I know we've got UK stuff here as well, but the storyline, the script, if you will, is an American one, and you've only got to watch the American news networks to realise how ingrained into the American psyche this code narrative is. And even people I know myself in my own private personal life believe this, what they've been indoctrinated to believe. It's a weird one. I'm getting tired now. See, look, I've done it. I'm getting to that point. I'm trying to draw. Well, I'm trying to find a balance with my energy levels and these streams. It was 6 o'clock. It was 7 o'clock. It was 9 o'clock. Now it's 8 o'clock again. Look, I haven't got an audience big enough to bother people really. People aren't going to exactly say, "Oh, Justin, how dare you come on at this time?" But I'm just trying to, I do get these nod outs. I do, in the evenings, still struggle with my energy levels and staying snappy on camera. I don't know. It's trickier than I thought. Talking only as a talking head is very sort of, well, mono, isn't it? It's very what's the word when you do well, yeah, very, very monologue-ish, isn't it? I don't know, but if you have Spotify, this is where this is all going. If you've got access to Spotify, please watch the recent one, episode 1747. Yeah, episode 1747, guys and girls. Yeah, with Dr. Peter A. McCullough. Because what happens is a very honest conversation, the likes of which you will not see on mainstream smeardia. I call them smeardia because they aren't media. They are the smeardia. These people are... These people are, see, I've gone again. These people are abhorrent. These people are literally evil. And of course, what's divulged in the conversation between Dr. Peter McCullough and Joe Rogan is the truth. It's the truth. Thankfully, fortunately, Rogan's audience is so vast that it's bigger than CNN. It's bigger than, on balance, the impact that this podcast will have on society, I feel, is greater than the impact that it would have if you're watching, your typical cronies on CNN going, "Oh, Joe Rogan's bad, man," because the fact that what he's done is to have a conversation with the most peer-reviewed, the most published doctor, so not just. Um, Yeah, not just another member of the right, because that's the go-to. The go-to is if you had, look, even if you had a talking head like me appear on any of these networks, and that's very self-flattering, but you would have an immediate defense, which would be, oh, far-right conspiracy theorist. Yeah, he's a far-right conspiracy theorist. But no, when you've got a doctor who's absolutely mainstream, who is just really spouting out actual data, actual facts about COVID, it looks very bad for the propaganda that's, yeah, don't know what I was. But yeah, see, no, anyway, I'll probably pack it in now because that's me doing 36 minutes of just. I don't know, guys. I'm going through a spell with these streams. It's clear. Yeah, need to jazz it up, I think. It's not like I'm running out of talking points. I've always got something that I want to talk about, but I'm aware. I'm very cognizant of the fact that it is. I don't know. It's just. I'll keep on keeping on. That's what I'll do. I'll keep on keeping on. Look, tired again, tired. All right, I'll stop there. I'll stop there because no one wants to watch me nod out on camera again. That'll do, donkey. Look, thanks for tuning in. I know it's not great. I know I'm not great. I know this is very flawed. But just to recap, the things that are on my mind, in terms of human performance, in terms of what are you, what do we do, what gets you through life, what gives you purpose. I'm not trying to tick off bloody bullet points. Oh God, Mr. Motivator. But yeah, what gives you purpose? What? I don't know. No, that's it. That's it. Yeah, just what gives you purpose, man? What makes you tick? What gets you up? What gets you revved up each day? Is it the title, the pursuit of a title, or is it the damn job? Is it rolling your sleeves up and being involved, and just pride in the work that you do, whatever you do? I'm trying to be eclectic in the things I might say. That what do you do for a living? Um, But again, we're living in an age where, air quotes, being famous is its own pursuit. You speak to young people and say, "Oh, what do you?" They're like, "Oh, I just want to be famous," and they can't tell you what for. It's not that they've got attributes and real, um, just want to be famous because, man. No, weird. But yeah, getting away from the self, all about me, looking at the larger picture, just keep telling the truth, keep seeking the truth, keep finding out, keep Remember, think of the big sieve, SIEVE, you know, a colander. Think about the imagery around that in your head. Just a massive cartoonish colander, you know, a big sieve, literally sieving out the shit from the, you know, from the good. After all, that's what it boils down to. When you have someone like this doctor speaking to Rogan, you realise that the official line that's being sold to the public about COVID is monumentally distorted, frighteningly so. Right, that being said, I think I'm going to shut up now. It's 40 minutes. Thanks for bearing with me. I hope this gives someone something. I don't know. I got to keep, you know, I got to keep on. All right, guys. Look, good night. Thank you. I'll be back tomorrow night with episode 350. Okay, and hopefully I can do a better job of being more, you know, dynamic. All right. Back tomorrow night, same time, same face, same place. Cheers.